Today, we're diving into something that so many people ask about, something that touches the very core of the healing journey. Why is it so difficult to explain this abuse that you have endured to others? If you've ever found yourself stumbling over words, feeling crazy, or walking away from a conversation thinking, they didn't understand, they didn't get it. I know exactly how you feel. I'm Grace Channing. I'm the author of Love Crimes, Awakening and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. It's my story of life with an abuser. I think it is healthy to explore why these experiences are so challenging to convey, and more importantly, how to honor your truth even when others can't fully understand it. What makes this type of abuse so insidious is that it targets your sense of reality, your perceptions of yourself, your understanding of truth. Narcissistic abuse leaves wounds that don't show on the surface. There are no bruises to photograph, no broken bones to x-ray, no tangible evidence is present. The abuse happens in private moments for the most part, through subtle manipulations, in the spaces between the words, and in patterns that reveal themselves only over time. This is somewhat abstract, but if you're living it, it's very real. How do you show someone a wound of your soul? How do you explain the most damaging parts weren't what was said, but rather what was implied? How do you prove the existence of something designed to evade detection? Narcissistic abuse rarely fits the stereotypical image of abuse that most people hold in their minds. It often includes gaslighting that makes you question your own perceptions, love bombing, followed by harsh coldness, triangulation that isolates you from support, projection that blames you for their behaviors, subtle put-downs disguised as just joking, constantly moving the goalposts so you can never meet their expectations. Each incident in isolation might seem minor or even normal to an outsider, but it's the pattern, the consistency, and the intentionality behind these behaviors that create the abuse. Explaining a pattern requires time. It requires context. And most casual conversations don't allow for the depth needed to truly convey these experiences. I mean, it required me to write a book just to give context and receive some sort of closure. It feels almost impossible to explain these experiences where there were no words, just the subtle, silent manipulation using nonverbal clues, body language, and unspoken expectations. Oh, don't get me wrong. There is plenty of verbal abuse as well. They are all working together to keep you spinning in dysfunction. One of the most challenging aspects explaining narcissistic abuse is that you're speaking from your after self to someone who hasn't experienced that transformation. Before the abuse, you too might have thought, why wouldn't someone just leave? You might have believed relationships were straightforward, communication was clear, and red flags were obvious before you met this hideous person. The person you're speaking with might still be living in that before world where trust is assumed, where the benefit of the doubt is freely given, where they believe they'd recognize manipulation if they saw it. They haven't experienced the slow erosion of boundaries, the gradual normalization of disrespect, or the foggy confusion of multi-realities existing at once. And to others, the toxic ones may seem so nice. They're so charming and fun. Narcissists often present a carefully crafted image to the world. They're the generous friend, the involved parent, the successful professional, the community volunteer. They've invested significantly in their public perception. What you experienced behind closed doors contradicts everything others believe they know about this person. And humans tend to trust their own direct experiences over someone else's reported versions. When you try to explain the abuse, you're not just asking someone to believe you. You're asking them to disbelieve their own experiences with that person. That's a significant cognitive hurdle for most people. When your reality has been repeatedly questioned by your abuser, the prospects of not being believed by others becomes terrifying. The potential dismissal feels like an extension of the original abuse. Many survivors have experienced being told they're too sensitive, being accused of exaggerating, having their most painful experiences minimized, being labeled as bitter, vengeful, and unstable. These fears create a hesitation that makes explaining even harder. You find yourself self-censoring, downplaying, or abandoning the conversation altogether rather than risk another dismissal of your truth. Also, we lack an adequate language for the nuances experienced in narcissistic abuse. Our vocabulary for describing psychological harm hasn't caught up to our understanding of it. How do you describe the feeling of being emptied out from the inside out? What words capture the disorientation of being made to distrust your own mind? How do you explain the profound loneliness of being with someone who refuses to see you? We resort to metaphors. Walking on eggshells, emotional roller coasters, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde syndrome. But these familiar phrases can inadvertently minimize the severity of what you're enduring. Our culture still struggles with validating psychological and emotional abuse. We have a collective tendency to dismiss, such as prioritizing intent over impact. Oh, they didn't mean to hurt you. We value forgiveness over boundaries. You need to just let it go. We expect proof of emotional claims. But now what exactly did they do? We promote toxic positivity. Just focus on the good. We normalize dysfunctional behavior. All relationships have these problems. Sound familiar? When you're trying to explain your experience, you're not just fighting against one person's skepticism. You're pushing against deeply ingrained social narratives about relationships and what constitutes real harm. Perhaps the most painful barrier to explaining narcissistic abuse is the doubt that still lives within you. after months or years of having your perceptions questioned, part of you may still wonder, was it really that bad? Am I remembering things correctly? Was I somehow responsible? Was it truly abuse or just a dysfunctional relationship? Your inner critic makes you hesitate to qualify your statements and undermine your own narrative, even as you're trying to share it. Despite all of these challenges, your story does deserve to be told, even if the words feel inadequate, even if the telling is imperfect. Maybe if not, to only just write it down in a journal. I hope that you subscribe here and join in on the awakening and healing from narcissistic abuse path. To get you started, I have created a meditation specifically for you, the person who has endured this horrific abuse. This meditation is designed to clear your mind and to find a safe place to begin to heal, with the ultimate goal of finding peace and joy. Click on the link in the description below. There you will find my guided sound healing meditation, and it's yours for free.